Well, for more on this story, we can bring in Anna Zobnina, the Strategy and Policy Coordinator at the European Network of Migrant Women, who joins us now from Edinburgh. Thank you very much for being with us here on France 24. First of all, just how powerful and significant are these mass marches which we've seen today? How much of a game changer could they be?
Hi, thank you. Well, I think it's certainly an important political statement that women are making publicly. They're going around with these marches or around all over the world. France is one place where I think you have today over 200,000 women in the streets. And I think it is definitely can be a change maker. However, there are also other accompanying strategies that we need to do as feminists, as women, as human rights advocates, that after expressing our public anger and indignation, we also need to speak directly with the policymakers. We need to speak with the police. We need to speak with the men who perpetrate violence. So it's really an ongoing, everyday struggle for women who are engaged politically with this subject. And then once in a while, we come with a political manifestation to show it publicly. And it is very important to keep doing this.
Now, there's one key piece of European legislation which is meant to protect women. What's wrong with the Istanbul Convention in your view?
There is nothing wrong with Istanbul Convention, in my view. However, it is wrong that the Istanbul Convention have not been properly implemented, and in some cases, in some European countries, it has not been even ratified, because in fact, it's one of the most comprehensive and important legal instruments, not only in Europe, but at the global level, to combat, to prevent male violence against women. So what we see increasingly, the manifestations that we're seeing today, the political protest, they really can be supported by the correct implementation of this instrument that protects all women, regardless of their legal status, migratory status, which is very important for our members, migrant women. And it puts in place comprehensive policies. It puts in place accountability towards the states, institutions, ask special services to be in place to support women who are victims of violence. And most importantly, it holds to account the perpetrators.
Now, you mentioned there the fact that you've worked a lot with migrant women. How widespread is this problem among those groups?
It is very widespread. Migrant women are, first of all, women. So if we know that in France you have about 2 to 3 women killed per week, then of course this problem in the equal measure will affect migrant women. Now, the complication with the migrant women is that there are various overlapping discriminations. One of them is the legal status. So if, for example, you are a woman who is dependent on your spouse legally or on your employer, and you are in a situation of domestic abuse or sexual abuse and harassment and violence at work, and your only option is to report it to the police and be deported, then of course you're going to think twice if you're going to do it. And this is already considering that the rates of reports of violence against women by women are very low. So migrant women are just really caught in the catch-22 situation in this case, because they're facing very real deportation. Additionally, we have a horrible situation with those women who are fleeing violence in the first place. Many refugee women, and many people do not realize this, they don't only flee climate change or political unrest, which will have implication on migrant women, but a lot of them fleeing domestic violence, forced marriage, female genital mutilation. And as a matter of fact, Istanbul Convention gives them grounds for asylum because of this type of gender-based violence. And this is also hardly recognized by the European policymakers.
Okay, Anna Zobnina, that's all we have time for. Thank you very much for being with us here on France 24.